trusting in God is a central theme in the lives of many. When we talk about surrendering, about allowing divine protection to envelop us, it is essential to understand that this trust is not an isolated act, but a daily construction. Imagine waking up every day knowing that there is a greater force by your side, ready to protect you. This is the essence of fully trusting in God. In the Bible, there are several passages that speak about divine protection. A well-known example is Psalm 91, which highlights how God is a refuge and a fortress. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This image of shelter brings comfort. It is not just a promise of safety, but an invitation to trust. Divine protection is not merely a shield against visible dangers, but a constant presence that supports us in moments of uncertainty. Stories of faith are inspiring and help us understand how this trust manifests in real life. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. He was not just trusting God out of obligation, he had an intimate relationship with him. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, cultivating a friendship that sustained him in the most difficult moments. When he was thrown into the den, his faith protected him. He not only emerged unscathed, but his experience became a powerful testimony of God's protection. This story teaches us that cultivating God's presence in our lives is essential to experiencing His protection. In practice, how can we develop this trust? Constant communication with God is a fundamental step. It doesn't have to be an elaborate prayer. It can be a simple conversation. Talking about the challenges of daily life, expressing gratitude for the little things, asking for guidance. This exchange creates a stronger bond and makes us more aware of the divine presence. Throughout the day, set aside moments to pause and connect. It could be during a walk, while having coffee, or even before going to sleep. These small moments make a huge difference. The presence of God transforms the way we see challenges. When we know we are not alone, the burden feels lighter. Difficulties do not disappear, but facing them with the certainty that God is by our side changes everything. It is like having a friend who supports you in tough times. Life gains purpose and meaning. One practice that can help strengthen this trust is meditation. Set aside a few minutes of your day to silence your mind and focus on God's presence. Breathe deeply, feel each moment, and allow this connection to envelop you. Meditation is not just a relaxation technique. It is a space to hear God's voice and feel His protection. It is in this silence that we often find the answers we seek. Stories of divine protection are everywhere. I remember a report of a person who, in a critical moment, felt an inexplicable peace. Even in the face of a situation that seemed hopeless, trust in God brought clarity and serenity. This peace is one of the ways to feel divine protection. When we surrender, we experience a relief that does not come from the world, but from something greater. Trusting in God is also an act of courage. Often, circumstances make us doubt, but it is at this moment that we need to remember the promises. In Proverbs 3:5-6, it is written, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." This surrender allows us to see beyond what our physical eyes can perceive. By trusting, we open space for God's action in our lives. And how does this apply to everyday life? Imagine a hectic day. with tight deadlines and worries. Instead of letting stress take over, pause and remember divine protection. Prayer can be a good start. Dedicate a few minutes to connect. Thank for the good things and present your concerns. This practice not only alleviates emotional burdens, but reinforces trust in God. Surrender is a continuous process. It is not something we do once and forget. It is a daily commitment, a conscious choice. Over time, this trust becomes a part of who we are. When we face difficulties, we look back and see how God has been with us in so many situations. This encourages us to move forward, knowing that His protection will never fail. The reflection here is simple. Trusting in God is an invitation to transformation. It is a call to live with the certainty that divine protection is always present. Thus, each day becomes an opportunity to experience this trust. By allowing God to govern our lives, we observe how He envelops us with His protection. This journey of faith is not just about believing, but about living that belief day by day. Trusting in God, besides being a surrender, is a path that unfolds in simplicity and depth. When we begin to see God as an intimate friend, the relationship changes completely. It is no longer a matter of obligations or rituals, but of shared moments, of valuing His presence in every little detail of the day. Imagine starting the morning by sharing your dreams, your hopes, your insecurities. This transforms the routine. God's presence becomes a shelter, a space where you can be authentic, without masks. Divine protection manifests in surprising ways. Sometimes it is not something grand. It is a gentle whisper amid chaos. One day you might be facing a challenge at work, feeling pressured and trapped. When you connect with God, a simple idea may arise, a solution you had not noticed before. This is His presence acting in your life. Protection is not just physical, it is emotional, spiritual. It is the comfort you feel when things seem to crumble. It is the strength that wells up from within you, allowing you to face storms with courage. This constant communication with God is vital. It doesn't have to be formal. It can be a direct conversation while you walk, or an internal dialogue while you have your coffee. It is about opening your heart and letting Him in, talking about your worries, your joys, and even your frustrations helps solidify trust. When you feel heard, the relationship deepens. You realize you are not alone in life's battles. Surrender is an act of faith that allows God's protection to manifest more clearly. In moments of pain when life seems unfair, God's presence is a foundation. Stories of divine protection are abundant. Someone may have faced an accident but came out unscathed. Another may have lost a job but found an even better opportunity. These experiences are not just coincidences. They are testimonies of how surrender and trust attract divine protection. Each story is a reminder that even when everything seems out of control, God's hand is there, guiding and protecting. Spirituality reveals itself in the little things: a sunset, an unexpected smile, a kind word. When you allow yourself to perceive God's presence, life gains a new dimension. Difficulties do not disappear, but they become lighter. You learn to look at them with a new perspective. Divine protection is like a cloak that envelops us, offering security in uncertain times. And this security comes from the certainty that Regardless of what happens, you are being cared for. The practice of meditation and prayer can be an enriching path. It doesn't have to be something elaborate. Sometimes, a minute of silence to breathe and feel God's presence is enough. Prayer can be a simple conversation where you express your needs and gratitude. Meditation can help calm the mind, allowing you to hear God's voice more clearly. These practices are like exercises for the spirit, strengthening the connection and trust. You may wonder, how does this apply in daily life? When facing a challenge, try to pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Say a quick prayer, asking for guidance and protection. Often the answer comes in the form of an idea or a path that had not been considered. This is divine protection in action. It is as if you are aligning your steps with God's will, and this brings an inexplicable peace. In conflict situations, whether at work or in personal life, this surrender also makes a difference. Instead of acting impulsively or letting anger take over, you can choose to connect with God before reacting. The calm that comes from this connection can change the entire dynamic of a situation. God's protection teaches us to respond with love and understanding rather than reactivity. This does not mean that you will not feel pain or frustration, but the way you deal with these emotions transforms. The friendship with God is not a path free of challenges. Sometimes doubt may arise and faith may be tested. In those moments, it is essential to remember that divine protection is always present, even when we cannot see it. Stories of people who have gone through extreme difficulties but found strength and protection in God are inspiring examples. They remind us that true trust is often forged in the fire of adversities. And when you witness divine protection in your life, it is natural to want to share that with others. Historically, accounts of protection and divine intervention have the power to encourage and strengthen the faith of many people. Telling your own story of how trust in God brought solutions and peace can be a powerful testimony. This not only reinforces your own faith, but also inspires those around you to seek that same connection. Surrendering and trusting in God goes beyond a religious practice. It is a way of life. Each day is a new opportunity to experience that protection. By opening yourself to the presence of God, you make space for Him to act in your life. It is not necessary to understand everything. Often, it is enough to just trust. This trust transforms into an invisible shield, a protection that envelops and guides us. Today, as you consider your worries and challenges, remember, trusting in God is an invitation to transformation. Accept this divine protection and allow it to cover you. The experience of living with this trust brings an inexplicable freedom. Keep your eyes and heart open to God's action in your life. Protection is all around you. You just need to recognize it. Trusting in God is not just a theory. It is a daily practice that transforms the way we live. Imagine starting your day with a simple prayer, asking God to guide your steps. This initial surrender opens a sacred space for divine protection, helping you face challenges with renewed courage. It is not about being sure that everything will be perfect, but about knowing that regardless of what happens, you are not alone. In moments of uncertainty, instead of being carried away by fear, talk to God. Share your concerns and longings. A practice that many find helpful is to set aside a specific time, perhaps upon waking or before sleeping, for this communication. It does not have to be something formal. It can be a simple conversation, just as you would have with a trusted friend. Talking about your fears, doubts, or even the joys of everyday life creates a stronger bond. This cultivated intimacy is what provides a true sense of protection. Remember that God's presence is constant. Throughout the day, when facing small obstacles, such as a complicated day at work or a misunderstanding with someone close, take a deep breath and remember that He is with you. This awareness transforms the everyday. Instead of feeling burdened by difficulties, you can choose to see them as opportunities for growth. When you realize that God is by your side, the load seems lighter. The peace that comes from this understanding is one of the greatest gifts we can experience. Meditation can also be a powerful tool. Set aside a few minutes each day to silence your mind and focus on the divine presence. This practice creates an internal space where it is easier to hear God's voice. Imagine yourself simply sitting, breathing deeply, and allowing God's presence to envelop you. This time of stillness can bring clarity and renew your trust. With an open heart, you may perceive the protection that is already around you. The answers and solutions to your problems may appear in unexpected ways. Stories of divine protection are common in many people's lives. Have you heard of people who, in extreme situations, felt an inexplicable peace? Often this tranquility comes from complete trust in God. One example that comes to mind is someone who, after an accident, realized that despite the scare, they were unharmed. This type of experience is not just about luck. It is the manifestation of the protection that comes from faith. When we trust, we open the doors for protection to reveal itself in our lives. And how to apply this practically? Throughout the week, make a conscious effort to recognize the small interventions of God. It can be something simple, like finding a parking spot when you need it most, or receiving a supportive message from a friend during a difficult time. It is these small signs that remind us that divine protection is always present. Keep a spiritual journal where you can write down these experiences. This helps reinforce trust and gradually recognize God's action in your life. Complete surrender is a process. Sometimes it can be difficult to let go of control and trust fully. In those moments, remember that faith is not the absence of doubt, but rather the choice to believe. Each passing day you can decide to trust more, even if it means facing the unknown. This trust comes with a sense of freedom. You do not have to carry the weight of your worries alone. God is already taking care of that. Practice gratitude. At the end of each day, list 3 things you are grateful for. This not only changes your perspective, but also helps visualize the protection that is already in your life. When you recognize the blessings, even the small ones, your trust in God grows. It is a cycle that feeds itself. The more you recognize, the more you trust, and the more protection is revealed. There comes a moment when this trust becomes part of who you are. The difficulties do not disappear, but the way you face them changes. Fear transforms into hope, and uncertainty becomes an invitation to trust even more. The protection you seek is not just a promise, but a reality to be lived every day. The path is one of surrender, of friendship with God. By allowing yourself to experience this personal relationship, you not only feel protected, but also become a reflection of that protection for others. Your peace and trust become contagious, inspiring those around you. Divine protection is a reality accessible to all of us. By fully trusting in God, you will see the protection He offers. Do not wait any longer. Trust in God completely and watch His protection cover you today.